Financial leadership is changing. CFOs no longer record history. They make history. This podcast will help you become a better leader, strategic thinker, and digital visionary. Welcome to Secrets of Rockstar CFOs, the ultimate podcast for chief financial officers. Follow along as Jack McCullough engages in exciting chats with accomplished CFOs, learning how they overcame obstacles and positioned their companies for the future. Here's your host, Jack McCullough.
Well, we have a fantastic guest today. I've been looking forward to this one for a while. I'm joined by Konstantin Dzhengozov. He is the CFO of PayHawk. Konstantin, welcome to the Secrets of Rockstar CFOs.
Pleasure to be here today, Jack.
Been looking forward to it. And I know you've made some incredible progress in the US market where most of my listeners are, but I'm sure a few people aren't completely familiar with PayHawk. So can you give us the 10,000-foot view?
Absolutely. So PayHawk is a spend management solution. The way I like to explain our business is we live in an environment where for any company, for any type of business to be successful, it must be very well managed. And one of the main obstacles in achieving this is getting accurate and timely information and also focusing on cost management. And these problems are actually inherent in companies of every industry, every geography, every size. And they do prevent departments within the company themselves to function effectively and to concentrate on creating the greatest value for the company. Now, how PayHawk helps those businesses is we manage all this process. So our product enables companies to digitalize their spend and their controls. All this is done through our platform where you can easily create and implement spend policies or spending approvals. You can upload receipts or invoices. Our software extracts all the data necessary for your accounting software. We also allow you to make bank payments, and you can easily issue corporate cards, whether physical or virtual. You can easily set budgets on each card, block cards, unblock cards, set very custom workflows. Like, for example, I can issue a card to Jack that works only Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. So if Jack, you want to go to the pub after a long and hard day at work and you want to use the company card, I can limit your card so it's not going to be working at the bar. At the same time, all the transactions, everything that happens is viewable in real time, and you can control it in real time. So you don't need to wait until the end of the month to get your card statement to actually see what happened, who expensed what, and what is the situation overall with the company spent. We are also offering a procure-to-pay solution, a lot of integrations with HR systems, with different ERP systems, so that both onboarding and offboarding of employees can be done automatically within the relevant spend controls that the company has set. And everything is synced immediately with your accounting system. Through our platform, businesses can also manage and monitor subscription spend. It's one of the very big line items in terms of cost spend nowadays, with every software being a software as a service subscription that automatically renews. So you can manage all this through our platform, and you can easily plan better your cash needs for the quarter, for the month, for the year. You can see the different subscriptions that you have, and you can basically avoid any unpleasant surprises. We currently have customers from over 32 countries. And I think we are perhaps the one, or maybe one of the very few products on the market that can be used by companies within the European Union, the UK, and the US. And our product is very suitable for companies with a simple structure. Let's say you only have one US company and you operate only on the US market. But it's also very suitable, and it can scale as your needs scale. Let's say, for example, for a more complex group structure where you have different offices on different locations, different companies spread across the globe within the European Union, within the US, or within the UK.
Okay, that's great. And I understand that you're a unicorn in Bulgaria. There can't be very many unicorn companies, and I'm defining that as worth a billion American dollars. Are you the only one in Bulgaria, or are there a few others?
Yes, currently we are the only unicorn, and I'm very proud, and it always gives me a very warm feeling to share this with anyone. We are the first unicorn company coming out of a very, very small country in Europe. So it's a huge milestone for us as a company, for everybody that's employed in the company, but also for the ecosystem as well.
Oh, yeah, I bet. What's the population of Bulgaria? I don't even know.
Population is roughly, I think, 6.5 million.
Okay,
So it's a
so
very small country.
the whole country's, a little bit smaller than New York City alone. So to have a unicorn in a country that small is very, very impressive. And I know you're also one of the co-founders, so, kudos to you for the vision and the execution. But let's chat a little about your early life. Did you grow up in Bulgaria?
Yeah, I grew up in Bulgaria. I was born and raised in Sofia. This is the capital of Bulgaria.
And
But I travel a lot. I was lucky enough to travel a lot related to, my business or any company that I was employed in. I also, on a personal level, enjoy traveling a lot.
Yeah, because you don't have a particularly prominent accent, in my view. So, but
Thank you.
did you grow up big family, a lot of brothers and sisters, or?
I have one sister. She's actually older than me. She's close to 5 years older than me, and she lives in Vienna, Austria. So unfortunately, I don't get to see her that much. We get to see each other probably 4 or 5 times a year, but we're very close to each other.
It's good that you can see her, and with modern technology, you can keep in touch all the time. So, but tell me a little bit, what was your first job when you were a kid, if you had a job when you were a kid?
The first job that I can remember was being a translator. So I used to translate a lot of Bulgarian documents to English. Back then, I don't think Google Translate was invented. So, or maybe it wasn't doing a good job as nowadays. So I was doing a lot of translation work. I also, I think one of the, probably when I was in the university, I also spent a few months working as a salesperson. I was selling hosting to US companies from Bulgaria, which was actually a super nice experience because I like talking to people. Unfortunately, I couldn't keep up with, going to university and working full time, taking night shifts, just because of the time difference between Bulgaria and the US. So I had to quit, but it was very enjoyable work.
It's interesting. So you're a translator. How many languages do you speak?
I speak Bulgarian, Spanish, and English.
Okay, so that's three. That's only two more than me, so that's not all that impressive, I guess. So cool. But so you went to school at the University of Sofia, I believe, and
Yes.
you studied economics. So what were you thinking that you would do with that? You probably didn't envision yourself as an entrepreneur of a unicorn company, but what was sort of the view that made you pursue economics as a field of study?
I was always good at math, and I liked really, analyzing businesses and digging through business ideas. So it was kind of a natural progression for me to get involved in economics and in finance in general. I think early on, my ideal job was to become an investment banker or a consultant. The first job that I took right after university was I was working for one of the big four companies as a management consultant. I spent around 5 years there, working on very different engagements, from business valuations to M&A, due diligences, visibility studies. So I had a very broad range of different experiences that kind of shaped up my knowledge and also strengthened me a lot, because working as a management consultant in general and in Big Four, it can be very stressful. So early on, I had very big exposure working on big projects, and it was super fun. But at one point, I thought that maybe it kind of makes sense for me to get involved into the real business. Working as a consultant, you're kind of always dealing with different projects. So you might be doing something super exciting for a month in one industry, then you jump into another industry, a different engagement. So you don't really see end to end what's happening with the companies that you're working with. And I always wanted to be a bit more involved and see the results from my work end to end.
Interesting. So you started your career at the same place as me, KPMG. So
Yeah.
when were you there?
Right before the financial crisis,
Which
2008.
one? There's been a few of those. Oh, yeah, I'm a little older than you, maybe more than a little older than you. Which one are you thinking of? So
2008,
okay.
that's when I started.
Yeah, so we were co-workers then briefly. I was there from 86 to 90, and then I was there again from 2010 to 2015. So we overlapped my second time. But my being in Boston, Massachusetts, and were you in Bulgaria at KPMG? Or?
Yeah, I was in Sofia, Bulgaria, but we operated on a cluster level. So we had a lot of engagements in the Balkans, like for example in Macedonia, in Montenegro, in Kosovo. So we did a lot of engagements in the Balkans in general.
Okay, cool. And then you left KPMG, you went to a company called Progress. And were you the CFO at Progress, or was that sort of, I know you were at the next one, the software group, but
no, so actually before it was Progress, it was a Bulgarian technology company called Telerik that afterwards got acquired by the US company Progress.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Friend that worked there, and they were looking for someone with my profile to join them and to be responsible for doing a lot of the internal valuations. They were doing a lot of acquisitions back then, and also to help with budgeting, the whole FP&A function. They didn't have a financial planning and analysis function. And back then I was, to be honest, I was a bit hesitant. I wasn't sure whether this was something that's right for me. I wasn't sure whether the tech sector is the right sector for me. But looking inside, it was one of the best decisions that I've ever took in my life, because it completely changed me on a personal, on a professional basis. I was lucky enough to be working with the co-founders of the tech company from day one. I had absolutely full freedom to do whatever I want. I was responsible for the entire budget, doing a lot of the analysis, doing all the evaluations for the companies that we were acquiring. We were back then 800 people company.
How many?
So 800.
Oh, okay. So
yeah. So not a very small company.
No, not at all. So no.
It was very interesting. It was very life-changing for me. And probably one of the most interesting things that I was engaged with, I was part of a very small team that was actually involved in the entire acquisition when the US listed company Progress acquired us for 264 million. I think it's still one of the biggest deals in the region, or at least in this part of the world. And it was kind of the catalyst for all the development of the tech ecosystem in Bulgaria, just because there were a lot of people that subsequently started companies on their own. I met with the two co-founders of PayHawk as well in Telerik. So we are one of the companies that we know each other from Telerik, but then we decided to do something on our own. And there are a lot of companies that were born after this acquisition. So it was a very big boost for the entire ecosystem.
Yeah, that's fantastic. You'd have that impact. But what I find interesting also about your career progression, you were a partner with two different investment funds. So tell me how that came about and what was their focus?
Well, right after we got acquired, I'll start a bit with the whole story. Right after we got acquired by the US company, we had very big plans on how to be successful and how to make the US company super successful. Unfortunately, there was a change in strategy, and founders from Telerik left the company. I stayed there for another year or so. I got a proposal to move to the US to actually join the C-suite team of the US company and to lead the corporate development. But it just didn't feel right for me. I wanted to spend more time in Bulgaria. This is where, my family is, my friends. So I decided that I'm very, very well vested in Bulgaria and in the whole ecosystem here. And I decided to stay, and I left Progress. Right after that, I got approached by one of the co-founders of Telerik because he was doing a lot of angel investments. And he wanted my help with structuring a bit, doing a bit more analysis, working with some of the portfolio companies that he has invested in. And those are, I think, 50 or 60 companies. So this is how I got engaged into the whole VC world. I didn't stay there for long though. Right after PayHawk idea was born, I initially joined as an angel investor, but my time was 100% dedicated to PayHawk from day one, actually from day -1, or even on the idea phase. So at some point, I just decided to switch and become the third co-founder of PayHawk officially.
Yeah, and I want to get into that a little bit because it's not never, and it's in fact, it's increasingly common, but there's still not a lot of co-founders who become the CFOs of their companies. With your background, it's obviously a great fit. It's not like they could go out and get a better CFO than you would be. But how is your role different than, what a traditional CFO role might be at a company, if it is at all?
I think it is very different. I don't think I fit like the a regular CFO type of frame. I think in the early days, we have 3 co-founders. We have Christo, who is the big visionary, the steam engine that gets us all going. He was the person that actually had the idea of PayHawk in the first place. We have Boyko, who is behind the product. So he's an engineer. He's the brains behind the product that we have today. And I was left with dealing with all the other mess. So to say, so I was responsible for making sure that everything runs smoothly, that we have a sound business model. And this meant pretty much engaging in all different aspects, from pricing to setting up all the G&A functions, to opening offices, to making a lot of the policies, to, you might be having a call with your accountant discussing debit and credits. 15 minutes later, you're jumping on a call with an investor talking about the next 10 years, how they're going to look like. And then you're probably back into opening an office in the UK or creating a policy for something. So it's very versatile. It's not limited to finance only, but I really find this very fascinating. All of my career, I have been very interested in anything outside of finance world. So how the business works, how we make decisions, how we can be more profitable, how we can execute better, how we can operate more in a more lean way. And this actually helps me a lot. So first to understand the business, then I know the finance part pretty well, so I can be the best business partner, hopefully, there could be, just because you can combine the 2 things together.
Yeah, I mean, that goes, there's an expression which may or may not be familiar to you, but that you say somebody makes the trains run on time. And it sounds like in the early days, you were that person. You didn't design the engine necessarily, but you're the one that made sure that it got from point A to point B. So cool. So I want to chat a little bit more about PayHawk. And, one of the things interesting, and a lot of our members have adopted it within the last year or so, but you're in a pretty competitive field. So what's your strategy, and how in your role is both you're sort of a customer almost of PayHawk, right? You've got the customer understanding, but how does your skill set help the company be innovative, keep the product wheels cutting edge, and, continue to have that reputation for being, on the top of the game?
Well, I can feel the pain point of our customers at any point in time, just because I'm doing the same job as they're doing. I'm the CFO of the company. I cannot honestly imagine my life without a software solution like PayHawk, just because it saves so much time, so much stress, so much effort from the team, but also from all the other departments. It makes really my life easier. I think the key to our success is really having a very good ability to listen to our customers, creating a constant feedback, what is working, what is not working, where is their biggest pain point, how we can solve it with technology, with automation, how we can make their life easier, and also combining this in a very user-friendly way, so that it doesn't matter if you've worked with PayHawk for a year or if you're a new user, you can easily get your hands on anything, and you can, without any onboarding, pretty much do everything you want to do with the product.
Okay, interesting. So I want to chat with you also a little about the financial strategy of the company. And, it sort of sounds sometimes like it might be easy. Yeah, you're the CFO of a unicorn. How hard can that be? But I'm sure a lot goes into it. So, what are some of the financial decisions that you're making to help the company grow and flourish and, keep its competitive advantage?
Well, we iterate constantly. So we iterate constantly on our business plan, on our pricing. I think even in the early days, probably we had like 20 different versions of our business plan and our pricing in month one when we created the company. And we never stopped doing this. So we always build on top of the existing models that we have. We're always looking for ways to optimize, ways to be more lean as a business. I think for us, probably one of the biggest challenges that we had was, first of all, we are coming from the software world. We didn't spend much time, or we didn't have much exposure to the payment service or to the payment industry in general. So this is something that we had to learn. I think we just going into this with a very clear mindset that you need to learn every bolt, every inch of this industry, and making sure that your unit economics are sound. We wanted to build a business model that is very granular and very robust so that we can iterate constantly. And this helped us very early on to focus on the big picture, understand the value chain of the industry, see how and when and what we need to do to be profitable and how to build a nice business. I think very early on, one of the key decisions that we took was we're going to have two separate revenue streams. Unlike probably some of the competitors in the US that started offering their product for free, we decided that we have a very good expertise in building very good B2B software. So we're going to be charging for this software as a standard software as a service type of an offering from day one. The other revenue stream that we're going to get is from the actual card usage and the actual payment service. So very early on, very critical point in our business model, our pricing strategy, and the way we have developed the company is to bet on we're going to be selling software, we're going to be providing a payment service as well, we're going to be making money from both of those revenue streams.
That makes sense. And one thing I've observed is customer needs, expense management, and everywhere. They change constantly, right? Like the market today is probably very different than it was 6 months ago, and it's very different than the market 6 months from now is going to be very different than it is today. So, what's your secret to sort of staying on the cutting edge of providing solutions that your customers are going to continue to want? Because, as I mentioned, you're in a great market, but because you're in a great market, there's a lot of people that like to enter it. So.
Yeah, well, I think the market that we are in is actually enormous. I think we're just scratching the surface.
Sure.
So we started with, providing smart cards, making payment services, really automating a lot and digitalizing a lot of the processes regarding collecting receipts, invoices, extracting data, pushing those to the accounting system. But then just looking at the whole CFO office, there's so much that we can do in terms of automation, in terms of giving better products to customers that can actually make their life easier. And this is in all different spheres throughout the CFO office. Let's say procurement, let's say how do you sign contracts, how do you manage your budgets, how do you manage your subscriptions. So we are constantly building on top. We're looking for any adjacent market niches that we can tap into. And so far, it has been working very well for us.
That's fantastic. So I want to chat a little bit about your own personal leadership philosophy. And, you're an executive in the company and one of the founders of it. So how is your own vision of leadership and culture influencing PayHawk and its employees and team? Because, you're on a rocket ship, so.
I think one of the most critical things for me is really not to take myself very seriously.
I knew there was something about you I liked. So
yeah, the feedback that I get from people is that I'm very approachable, and I actually make this on purpose. So we are all sitting in an open space. No one is hiding in a separate office. We are all sitting in an open space. Everybody can be approached by some employee that started yesterday or someone that has been with us for the last 5 years or so. And we really like to keep the startup vibe and the startup culture. So we don't have very strict hierarchy. We like to be super open, very focused on what we want to do, and we like to hear everybody's opinion. So everybody's free to speak. If you see something that doesn't work, or if you see something that needs to be improved, or you have a crazy idea, everybody's open for discussion. At the same time, we try to operate with as much ego as possible. Sometimes this is hard, but we try to operate in this manner, and we are very strict on the people that we hire in the company. We are really focusing on hiring the top 1% of the talent out there. But if someone is not a good culture fit, we're not going to hire that person just because they can spoil the entire culture of the company. So culture for us is something that we take very seriously. We like to keep the startup vibe. We like to be very agile, very flexible, very approachable, make decisions fast, run fast, even fail fast, like try to experiment with things, fail fast, see what we did wrong, prepare better for next time, iterate again, try again. And yeah, this is kind of our mindset.
Interesting. And so if you had like mentors along the way who influenced you and sort of shaped your vision for leadership?
Absolutely. So the mentors that I had, I was very lucky because, as I told you, I was working with the two co-founders of Telerik from day one, and I think they play a very pivotal role in my development, both on a personal and on a professional level. They were always encouraging me, always trying to help me, and even today, we still keep very close relationship, and they're always available if I need any help, if I need an advice. They're very calm, very low ego, very humble people, very down to earth. And this is what I also try to be, because I look up to those people and I want to be like them.
Interesting. So cool. And so your own team today, how big is the finance and accounting team over at PayHawk?
It's a total of 16 people.
Including you?
16 people. So we have an internal team that is handling all the bookkeeping and the reporting. We have a billing department, we have a procurement, we have tax, we have an FP&A team, and we also have credit risk.
Okay, interesting. So I want a final question on PayHawk. What's your sort of long-term vision? Where do you see the company being in 1, 5, and 10 years? Are there things beyond what you're currently doing now that you think you can get a dominant foothold in?
Yeah, I think the big vision for us is really to become the global leader in our space. Right now, we are active in the US, in the European Union, and in the UK. But I think the problems that we're solving are applicable worldwide for any type of company, regardless of their size, of the geography, of their industry. So we really want to be the global player that is going to be leading this space. Why not even do a big IPO someday in the US? I think the biggest success for me personally is going to be if we manage to have this impact on the ecosystem the way Telerik had it 10 years or so ago, and expand on that vision so that we can have future entrepreneurs, we can have VC funds from the US focus on this part of the world. This is going to be a big success for me.
Oh yeah, it's a rare opportunity to make an impact. But you mentioned going public in the US. Do a lot of Bulgarian companies do that? I mean, I know we're a global market for that sort of thing, but
no, we don't. We don't actually have a Bulgarian company going public in the US. So if we are the first Bulgarian unicorn, why not also become the first Bulgarian company to do an IPO in the US?
Yeah, hey, why not be the groundbreaking firm? So good for you. I love your vision, Konstantin. So cool. When we were talking earlier, you used the phrase, if I'm getting it correctly, that CFOs should jump on the digital revolution. And, what does that mean? And what's some of the advice you can give, not only for the youngish CFOs who, maybe technology is second nature to them, but some of the veterans who, grew up with, my nephews and nieces tease me that I did my accounting on stone tablets, but which is almost true, actually. But what's some advice you can give for people to, stay up to speed digitally?
I think there is so much happening right now, especially with AI and different advancements that we're seeing in this space. There is also a generational type of shift in the profile of the CFO. It's not that focused on debits and credits and reporting, but rather, being a very good business partner and really to sort of digitalizing the entire business processes internally. And I think today we have so much solutions that can actually make our life easier. We don't need to spend much time on processes that are very low value added. We can automate a lot of the processes. We can try to leverage in a lot of the technology that is currently available on the market so that we can spend our time and focus our efforts on more value added tasks like analyzing numbers, like reviewing strategy, iterating fast, adapting to the fast changing market environments rather than on, doing debits and credits, chasing receipts or making reports. I think all of this can be to a great extent automated.
That's fantastic. So another thing I wrote down from a prior conversation, I wrote down Konstantin equals adrenaline junkie. And I know you do some extreme things out there. I'd love to share with you a little about that. So,
well, I wouldn't say I'm an adrenaline junkie, but or maybe I fit into this category. I don't know. But the sports that I like to do is the type of sports that really gets your adrenaline high.
okay.
Otherwise,
I think adrenaline, just for the record, adrenaline junkie, I believe was my phrase, not yours. So,
yeah, I think just I need something to get me going, to shut my brain off, not think about work, not think about any issues, any meetings that I might be having tomorrow or any conversation that I had in the office. And the only way I can do that is if I do something that gets my adrenaline high and I enter like a survival mode. Like, let's say, for example, I'm with my bike on the mountain, I'm doing downhill, I'm snowboarding, or I'm doing something else. So I don't tend to be like super extreme, but I tend to focus on things that really get your adrenaline high. Otherwise, I kind of really switch off.
That's interesting. You don't think it's extreme because, I can't even watch some of those things that you do without getting nervous. So I'm not sure. I think to me, maybe it's a little on the extreme side. So, but what's sort of the most exciting thing of that nature that you've done?
I really like biking a lot, so going in the mountain and doing some downhill. I really enjoy this just because it gets my mind off things. I'm really focused on the exact thing that I'm doing right now. If I'm not, I'm gonna fall, and I'm gonna be falling pretty badly. I think one of the things that I'm actually blessed with is I have a very high threshold of physical pain. So
okay.
I can try to experiment a lot and try to do some crazy stuff sometimes, and I don't feel like I'm gonna be hurting myself too much. I recently, just because we were chatting right before, I recently got back from a ski trip in Italy where I managed to dislocate my shoulder 3 times in a span of close to 3 hours.
The same shoulder?
Yeah, same shoulder 3 times.
I
think
didn't
in the
even know
span
that
of
was
3
medically
hours.
possible. So to dislocate it 3 times that quickly. So
yeah, but everything seems to be okay. I was actually snowboarding 3 days after. In spite of all the medics and all the doctors that I went to, they told me that I should rest and I shouldn't be doing anything. But I decided that I'm okay to risk it and really enjoy my time in the mountain.
yeah, that just strikes me as almost nutty. Yeah, I dislocated my shoulder 3 times, and a week later I'm snowboarding. But no, I chuckled a little bit. You mentioned you had a high threshold of pain, and it occurred to me I may well have a high threshold of pain. I have no idea if I do or not. I've never been in that situation that I needed to find out. So that's great. I'd love to ask, are there any other than your extreme sports, and again, perhaps you disagree that they're extreme, but other than your passion for these sorts of sports, any other fun facts or things about you that might surprise people to learn?
I don't know. I always find it hard to reply to any fun fact. I like playing tennis. I like doing sports. I don't have much of free time nowadays, just because I have 2 small kids at home and also a company to manage. So yeah, I don't really know. I'm not that much of a fun person. I'm probably a boring person. I don't know.
There you go. How old are your children?
3 years old and 6 months.
Oh boy, yeah.
Yeah.
So entrepreneur, executive in a company, and children of that age. Yeah, you
Sometimes.
get a lot going on. So good for
Yeah.
you that you're able to continue to do things well. Anyway, I always love to close these by asking CFOs for some advice they can give for the next generation of CFOs, those who aren't quite yet CFOs, but view themselves on the path. And you've actually already given a lot of great advice for that, but if you could crystallize it to a couple of things, I'd love to hear it. And more importantly, our listeners would love to hear it. So
I never imagined myself that I would become a CFO. It was never something on my agenda, to be honest. So I think the best advice I can give to anyone is just be bold. Don't go on the traditional beaten way. Try to explore other things. Always expand your vision into looking into other stuff that excites you. And there is really no secret recipe on this one. You just have to be willing to do a lot of work, to be very dedicated. But I think you also need to be very creative sometimes, and staying on the standard career track, doing all the standard things that are kind of expected of you from university. For me, this is not something that works out. It's always better to explore other opportunities, to see and test other things especially when you're young, and see where you best fit.
that's fantastic. So Konstantin, I know you're a busy guy with the company and growing family. So I thank you for making the time to be on the Secrets of Rockstar CFOs, and I'll give you the final word.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Jed. Thanks a lot for inviting me. It was a real pleasure to talk to you. I really hope your listeners enjoy the chat that we had.
Thank you for listening to this episode. To continue your exploration of this role that focuses on strategy, leadership, finance, and technology, listen to more episodes of the show at rockstarcfos.com. Join this revolution, episode by episode. Push yourself to achieve great things and unlock the best opportunities available to you. CFOs are creating a legacy, and it's time for you to leave your own unique imprint on the world today. That's all for now. See you on the next one.